So Indonesia is going to have its high-speed rail before United States.
Hello, ni hao, halo semuanya.
And this is the state of things.
Don't forget, there's some rails in Africa that China built too.
Hello, my name is Christine Mayama, and I want you to join me on this exciting journey as we get on board the Nairobi-Mombasa Standard Gauge Railway, famously known as the SGR. So join me on this exciting journey and let's go.
By road, we could take around 12 hours. This one we're expecting to arrive within 5 hours.
How can we say that we are on board the SGR on our way to Mombasa? That's taking it to another level.
That's a longer sentence, but we can simply say woman. Woman means we. All of us here, we.
Woman.
现在去Mombasa. So woman,
we are going
to. Then Mombasa is Mombasa.
Mombasa.
Yeah, so we can simply say woman to Mombasa in a simple way.
Yes. I mean, like now everybody's getting better infrastructure than United States, and the U.S. and people in U.S. are still so brainwashed that they call people elsewhere shithole country. I mean, time to look at inside. Look at yourself. Time to look at inside United States.
You know, going back to something when they were talking about how the United States often use this as a political ploy when they say that the Chinese stole the jobs. And in reality, this is what took place. Most people are not aware of this. The United States economy had stalled and it was about to collapse. They needed some, they didn't have the gold. Charles de Gaulle called them on their spending, and Richard Nixon said, well, the US dollar is as good as gold. And Charles de Gaulle said, well, then give us gold then. And Richard Nixon took the world off the gold standard. And so he looked for somewhere else. So he went to Saudi Arabia and promised to build up Arabia if they were to peg the oil sales to dollars and they would recycle them. But they also needed a big economy to open up. And man, they looked at China. And they said, they went over there and, hey, we got a deal for you. We'll move manufacturing over here. And it wasn't like for China, this was a win-win deal. China's economy would boom. They would get an influx of technology, but the United States economy would be allowed to grow and stay afloat because of the new opportunities and new customers that they had. I don't understand why they leave this stuff out when they're talking about this.
Huawei did not come to Midwest in U.S. and steal a plant and take it back to China. No, the U.S. industrialists, they figure out they can make more money by shifting production to China. And they not just China. They first did that to Asia back in like 60s, 70s. They shifted to places like Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and then later when China opened up, then they shifted the production over there. And this is why they think they just treat everybody as commodities, like they treat human beings as you're replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. We'll just go to the cheapest, most cheap labor. But what happened in the last 40 years? Now they're stuck. They're stuck in China of trying to, Apple try to shift the production to India and all that. It's not working out right now because it's not this is U.S. refused to invest in its own human capital because I know why, because they think they can loot bodies from the rest of the world. It's like, okay, well, we'll just let the Indian Chinese engineers to come to our shore. We'll still be fine. We don't need to train our children. We don't need to teach our children. And now they're screwing all the Chinese engineers and scientists. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, years of being told to learn code. No, exactly. this is a problem with this is why they want you to they want to tell you that China steal our job rather than our capitalist class betray the working class Americans.
Yes.
And shifted the production overseas. And this is the financial elite is responsible for like 90% of the problem in this country. But they don't want you to look there because all the media is owned by the same financial elite in the United States. So it's a lot easier to point blame to the Chinese, to the immigrants, anybody but the owners of Wall Street journals, or Washington Post, Jeff Bezos. And so because they are the ones who are profiting from this new arrangement, and to the detriment of everybody else. And yeah, something need to change, man. Something need to change. I'm ready for a French Revolution moment.
I doubt if it happens here. There will be revolution, but not in the way that that will help the empire to escape the situation. That I think that she's going down the rabbit hole now. There's no way for her to rebound. Think about this. She is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. She has debt that if you put China's economy and everybody else's economy together, they still could not pull her out of the debt situation that she's in. So if you're facing math tells us this, that it's an impossibility for her to get out of the economic situation that she's in. I'm not talking about what I believe. I'm saying there's a math equation that states, okay, she took on this amount of debt. She's constantly taking on this amount of debt. Her production is nil to zilch. Everything is imploding. Everything from employment to the housing market to this to, I mean, how can you pull yourself out of a debt situation if you continue to spend more money and if you continue with these arrogant policies that alienate the very nations that keep your economy afloat?
Well, that's why they think the rest of the world have no choice. I think the rest of the world have no choice but to recycle their saving into US dollars. That's why it's the same arrogance at work. But the thing is, US actually has a great position. It has, like I say, it has two oceans as moat. Its homeland is very secure. It has abundant resources. It's the world's third largest population. So you have all the elements for success, if you only to focus on internal development. But our government is telling us now the best we can do is war. The best we can do is war. It's very infuriating because there's no because they really just don't care. Because when the financial elite, they can make their money elsewhere in the world. Why do they need to care about you? Because they just see everybody as a cog in the wheel. They can just literally pick and swap and replace. And this is why this system have to go. The United States, I think, will be fine, but the system is rotten. That the system has to go.
They don't look at it like this. Okay, let us look at Libya. Prior to Muammar Gaddafi taking power, Libya was the poorest country in the world. It had the lowest literacy rate. I mean, hardly anybody. I think it was 2% or 3% of the population could read. After that, after implementing policies that prioritized education, Libya, 40 years after that, I'm talking about before the NATO murder and massacre of Gaddafi and Libya, Libya became the most prosperous nation on the Mediterranean. Now let's go to today. China has put huge amounts of resources into education to make its population not just a workforce, but a skillful force, plus a knowledgeable force. And at one time, its economy ranked up under India's economy. And it was one of the poorest countries in the world. And now look at it. It is the largest economy in the world. The politicians should take note of these little gems that have been dropped through history, but instead they have an insatiable appetite for war. They believe that war trumps everything, and people don't realize that the proper education gives the right guidance. And if you have the right guidance, you can build the proper students, which become your scientists, your lawyers, your engineers, your politicians, your doctors. But instead, the United States is devolving because it's defunding everything that is vital and crucial for a republic or for a nation to exist. And they think everything is okay so long as I can promote war.
Yeah, it's screwed up, man. The elite have to go, man. We need to roll out the guillotines. I mean, like at this point, I gave up on the elite themselves to see the light and reform. I mean that happened before. That happened during the New Deal when coming off after the Gilded Age and the age of robber barons and then they finally realized that look, if we don't shape up, there's going to be revolution on our hands. There's already Bolshevik revolution in Russia. We don't want that to happen here. So that's when they actually made concessions to the working class, and that enabled kind of the post-war prosperity for a little bit up to 1970s. But still, I mean, even back then, even in the 50s, 60s, they made the concession to the white working class. It was still, screw the black Americans, so and other colored folks, but like right now they don't even do that. They don't even do that. Now they just like getting so greedy because they feel that they have the whole global labor pool to exploit the global resources. But now what happened is the rest of the world is saying like, we don't want to be exploited by you anymore. We now have alternative, and but our elite, their mindset is still stuck in the 20th century. They still think like the world cannot live without them. It's like, no, you are parasites. Nobody needs freaking parasites to sucking out the lifeblood out of them. You guys are not the one that's working, actually producing anything.
I actually believe that it's a little more. I think it's the elite, but I believe it's the entire system. Because you think of this, when you have these people running for office, and you have these people with all of these grandiose ideas and those campaign slogans, I'm going to do this, and they'll condemn everybody else in office. They should be doing this. And as soon as they get elected, they don't change the system changes them. And the system changes their policies and their priorities. So there has to be a uprootment of the entire system and a building process of something totally new, because this is not a viable system. There is no way that being parasitic economically, politically, culturally, through your military arms is a viable way to progress as a society. There's no possibility of that.
No, that's so true. I mean, look at Bill Clinton. I mean, he came from a working class, single mom family, but he turned as soon as he joins the establishment. Now he's part of the establishment. I mean, you are right. You are totally right. The system changes people, so the system must change. I think this is why the BRICS, like people or even people in the West, are now seeing BRICS as a fresh breath, a breath of fresh air, because now finally there's an alternative to the kind of the same war-led imperial system that's been going on for decades. So we'll see. I mean, this is only the beginning. And like you say, like China and India was the world's largest economy for centuries, if not millennium. And it's only in the last 200, 300 years they were brought down by colonialism and imperialism and become impoverished. So right now, what we're seeing is actually a return to the old world order, where the center of the global commerce and economy is in the East. People in the U.S. establishment just need to accept that fact. They need to look at Britain. Britain lost its empire after World War II, but the British people still live much better off than they were before 1945. And U.S. average Joes in America can still live better off, in a globalized world where U.S. is no longer number one. If we just trade with everybody, work with our own labor using what resources United States has, U.S. can still be a prosperous society. It doesn't have to be war all the time and just war and screw the poor. I mean, that's a program, but yeah, we have to change the system somehow.
A wise man said back in the 70s, he said, led by China, it will be the Asiatic nations that will lay America low and remove her off her economic and political perch. In the 70s, he foresaw this up to today. And we are living in the manifestation of what he said. And I'm like, wow. Light years ahead, he saw what others couldn't see because China was not at that level at that time. But he saw the potential in China. And he said that it would be the Asiatic nations led by China that will lay America low, economically, politically, militarily. And we are watching that right now in real time. I know. Yeah. I kept you a long time. We're going to do this again.
But for sure. But, I mean, that what you reminded me actually was the Robert McNamara's 1965 Vietnam War memo to Johnson. He actually, in 1965, he actually said there is a potential that China will put together a coalition of Asian nations that will bind them against us, our interests. This is why we need to be in Korea, why we need to send ground troops to Vietnam. So they were trying to prevent the rise of China and rise of Asia from very, very long ago. And they're still trying to do it.
And that is one reason why they're trying to keep that island chain, what they call an island chain defense, to prevent China's breakout capacity militarily. And so the guy who said what I said to you guys, he talked about that also. But he said that the Chinese knew these things and they were patient and they would work on them and they would overcome every block that is impeding their growth. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God. To the very letter and spirit, we're watching this stuff happen right now.
Yes, we live in historical times. I mean, I'm very, I in a way, I mean, I'm outraged by the shit show going on in the U.S., but I'm also happy I can bear witness to this historical moment.
Yeah. And this is a great shift. This is a new paradigm where, for the first time in memory, that you'll see power, economics, and politics shift from Western domination to the East. And it's a very beautiful time to be alive, to watch these things and to acknowledge them happening before you. In closing, do you have anything to say to the people out here who are watching?
Well, I just thank you guys for watching, for sticking with us. This is has been very therapeutic for me, for myself, to talk to Rashid, because you get it. And we'll have to do this more often. This is a good time.
Thank you, Carl. I'll send you the link in just a few minutes.
Yeah, awesome. Great.
All right, be blessed, my brother. Everybody, thank you for joining us on another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. Remember, do good not just because somebody's watching you. Do good because it's the right thing to do. Treat people as you would like for them to treat you. And remember that God is always watching. So you may get away with it in front of the average person, but you'll never get away with it or over with it with God. I love you if you love truth, but know that the true and living God, he will always love you better. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. And remember to join us. We may have a live stream tomorrow. Thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure. I really enjoyed the chat. Thank you for joining in the chat. My guy Mehdi, my guy Putin Shirt, and everybody else who joined us in the chat. You kick butt. And you're just the biggest part of this show as I am. Thank you so much for everybody. And hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share. On that note, I go out. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Everybody, I love you. Deuces. I'm out of here.